Jesus is better. Make my heart believe than any comfort. Jesus is better. Make my heart believe more than all riches. Jesus is better. Make my heart believe. Our souls declaring Jesus is better. Make my heart believe. Our song eternal, Jesus is better. Make my You spoke the earth in motion. You gave the breath of life. You cursed the snake in Eden and promised to sacrifice. You rescued out of Egypt. You split the ocean wide. You shut the mouths of lions and stood with us in the fire. Before 400 years of silence, born of a virgin came. Jesus, the one Messiah, the name above every name. Raised up in crucifixion, laid down in Joseph's grave. You rose in resurrection, Emmanuel, God who saves. You are Holy King of heaven and earth. You are Lord of all unspeakable word. You are everything you say you are. You are defender of the broken and weak. You are faithful like the Father should be. You are everything you say you are. You are, you are, you are, you are everything you say you are. You are everything you say you are. You are everything you say you Holy God, holy and mighty, holy immortal one, have mercy, have mercy on us. Holy God, holy and mighty, holy immortal one, have mercy, have mercy on us. Holy God, holy and mighty, holy immortal one, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy on us. to respond. I know you got 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done. And I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you got 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back to you. Yeah, I'll sing them all back. Your love is boundless, beyond what I could dream. Your grace is patient, 'cause you never giving up on me. I call you born desperate, 'cause you're handing out the prison keys. My soul was made, yeah, to be free. Oh, I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done. And I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back. I'll sing them back to you. You are Rock of Ages, you're the great I am. You are King forever, the beginning and the end. You are Lord and servant, you're the Son of Man. You're the Lion of Judah, you're the risen Lamb. You're the second Adam, here to lead us home. You are Yahweh's glory, now revealed in flesh and bone. You are ocean parter, you will make a way. You are death defeated, you have risen from the grave. You are full of mercy, you are rich in love. You are Jesus, Messiah, the one true God. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me so many ways to be amazed. I'm amazed, I'm amazed. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done. And I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you by 1,000 names, so I sing them back, sing them back, sing them all back to you. I sing them all back, I sing them all back. I sing them back 'cause you're worth it. I sing them back 'cause you've earned it. I sing them back 'cause you're holy, you're worthy, you are Jesus. Your will be done, my God and Father, as in heaven, so on earth. As Jesus walked, so I shall walk, held by your same unchanging love. Be still, my soul. Oh, lift your voice and pray, Father, not my will, but yours be done. How in that garden he persisted, I may never fully know the fearful weight of true obedience. It was held by him alone. One wondrous faith to bear that cross, to bear my sin. What wondrous love! My hope was sure when there my Savior prayed, Father, not my will, but yours be done. When I am lost, when I am broken, in the night of fear and doubt, still I will trust in my good Father. Yes, to one great King I bow. As Jesus rose, so I shall rise in ransom glory at the throne. My heart restored, with all your saints I sing, Father, not my will, but yours be done. As we go forth, thou God and Father, lead us daily in the fight, that all the world might see your glory and your name be lifted high. And in this name we overcome, for you shall see us safely home. Now as your church we lift our voice and pray, Father, not my will, but yours be done. And in this name we overcome, for you shall see us safely home. Now as your church we lift our voice and pray, Father, not my will, but yours be done. Father, not my will, but yours be done. Father, not my will, but yours be done.
be back with you this week. And so as you're coming in, let's go ahead and stand to our feet. And as you're doing so, let's lift our voices in song this morning. Amazing love that sent his son. Amazing love that sent his son to suffer in my stead. The sinless King who died for me when I deserved his death. Oh. My Savior wept my every tear. He groaned that I might sing. My thorny crown upon his head, my cross is suffering. My cross is suffering. Your love shines at Calvary, Calvary. Your love shines at Calvary, Calvary. Oh, Jesus, glorious, risen one, no grave could keep him staying. And he who triumphed over death now lives and leads my way. He lives and leads my way. Yes, Jesus lives and leads my way. Your love shines at Calvary, Calvary. Now we proclaim that Jesus reigns in
Well, good morning, and again, welcome to Friendship Community Church. We are so glad you're here. If it's your first time with us, I hope that you stopped at the welcome desk and picked up a gift basket or gift bag from us. If not, catch us on the way out, because we would love to just say how much we appreciate you being with us this morning. You'll also find information about the church in there and some goodies from us. Also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the room. I'm going to move. The camera's going to move with me, I think. So I have a joke for Father's Day.
Oh, boy.
This came from Ken, so you know it's a good one. So when does a dad joke become a dad joke? When it's apparent. You're welcome. I'll be here all week.
Thanks.
Keith.
Hey.
What's going on at Friendship Community Church this week?
First off, we are glad that you are here, whether you are a first-time guest, whether you're a regular or member with us. There is a tear-off communication card in your bulletin. It's perforated, so it's nice and easy to tear off. In that, you will see some information you can give us. You can sign up for events. You can sign up to volunteer in some places we'll discuss here in just a second. But even greater than those things, you can share prayer requests with us. There's a spot for that. And we, as a staff, when we get together, we pray over these, not just at that time, but throughout the week as well. So it is our honor and privilege, and honestly part of our calling to lift one another up in prayer. And so that's very important to us. We love seeing those requests, not always the reasons behind them sometimes, but to be able to join together in prayer for you and for loved ones and family members, and to celebrate things as well is great for us. We love that. And so you can do that. Any of those things that you put on these connection cards, you can drop those off in the metal boxes on your way out today. So just a couple of things. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
That's okay. I was going to say, and speaking of signing up for things and using your connection card for that, we could use some extra folks to help greet people and hand out donuts. You only have to serve once a month, so it's a real fun, great way to get to know people. So if you're interested in joining our greeters team, you can sign up on your connection card.
Yes, you can do that. Also, we've got some work things coming up with VBS. Those are listed in your bulletin. There are several things here. One thing I will point out is if you would like to come help and you're thinking, yeah, but I've got kids and they'll be running around while we're helping. Wednesday nights, there's actually kind of built-in activities for children here. So if that works out for you and there's childcare here during that time, that would work out as well too. But you'll see some other dates and times in here as well as we prepare for the big week of VBS that is coming up in July. And I still see that it says about signing up.
That's right. There's still space if you want to sign up your kids for VBS, 4-year-olds through completed 5th grade. It's July 10th through the 13th. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can sign up at churchforyou.com/VBS.
Also, one more thing, camp is coming up, so that is on here as well. If you would like to help out, we every year have some families that camp is kind of a financial strain for them. And so we want to make sure that that's not the case for anybody. And so if you would like to help, to sponsor or to
give a scholarship
to some kids, or even partial ones, you can do that. The information is there as well on how to do that.
Yeah.
And I think
that's it.
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got.
Do you have anything else? You got any more jokes or no? You know what?
No.
No more jokes.
I have more jokes, but I'm not going to tell
Let's
any.
not do that.
Next time.
Next time. So this morning, as we normally do, we will sing a song as kind of a prayer to prepare our hearts for the reading and studying of God's Word together. And And so before Darren comes up today, let's sing this song together as our prayer that God would prepare us for studying His Word together. Speak, O Lord, as we come to you to receive the food of your holy word. Take your truth, plant it deep in us, shape and fashion us in your likeness, that the light of Christ might be seen today in our acts of love and our deeds of faith. Speak, O Lord, and fulfill in us all your purposes for your glory. Speak, O Lord, and renew our minds. Help us grasp the heights of your plans for us. Truths unchanged from the dawn of time that will echo down through eternity. And by grace we'll stand on your promises, and by grace we'll walk as you walk with us. Speak, O Lord, till your church is built and the earth is filled with your glory.
Howdy. Andy jokingly sent me a text this morning and asked if I was going to be here at 10:35 or something. But part of my problem is I sat there and now I can't figure out my iPad. Hang on, there we go. All right. Happy Father's Day. I feel like Father's Day is always kind of fun. You know, a long time ago, you used to get a tie for Father's Day. You know, you could wear a new tie to church and all that stuff. I'm not sure I still have a tie that actually even fits anymore. I haven't worn a tie in a long, long time, but hopefully my kids won't ever get me a tie. They got me some peanut butter M&Ms, and there was something else. Pins, yeah, a pin. So anyway, no tie. So, and I can't exactly see everybody up here, but I don't think any of y'all got a tie either. Maybe you did. If so, I hope you like it. Good luck with that. Andy's in Florida, so you're stuck with me. Eric already said he's going to say word 34 times for me today to help encourage me. So, my wife and I went through, is it The Chosen? I don't know, what do you call that? TV show, series, movie, thing, whatever. Anyway, I saw there was lots of that we really liked. One of them was here when Jesus was walking on water and stuff, so that's what we're going to do today. It's in Matthew 14, if you want to turn there. I think it's in your bulletin, and it should be up here on the screen. So I'll go ahead and pray for us. And then same question, what does this say about God? And that's where y'all fill in. So let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, just thanks for today. Just thanks for who you are. Just thanks for loving us and continuing to love us. Just open your word to us. Just we know that you have to do it and your Spirit has to do it to us, just to open our hearts and ears to hear and see what you have to say to us today. In your name we pray. Amen. So Matthew 14, we'll start in verse 22. It says, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I. That it is I right there is literally I am, like some of the I ams. I am. Don't be afraid. Lord, if it's you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. Come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried out, Lord, save me. Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. When they crossed over, they landed at, that's a big word for me, but Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. So just looking at that, what does that teach us about God? I didn't quite hear that. Jesus cares for everybody. Something else? It's okay to doubt. Is that? I'm sorry, with that air conditioner, I'm about half deaf anyway. You can ask my children. But it's okay to doubt. I already lost you in the light somewhere. I assume you're talking about Peter. Are you talking about Peter sinking? Yep. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually one of my favorite parts about this is I've told Andy before that confession doesn't mean perfection. That even though Peter is following Jesus. I think you can make an argument. Jesus went to him, called him, follow me. Peter's following him, doing all this stuff. Just because you are following Jesus doesn't mean you're perfect. Like, you're still going to mess up. And I almost think, just in my life, I always thought, and I feel like I say this almost every time up here, but I always believed faith got you saved. Like, faith alone, Jesus alone, like, I got that for salvation. And then just after the point of salvation, I wouldn't have said it like this, but I really thought then it relied on works. Like, then I need to be a good church member. I need to be a good son. I need to be a good father. Like, my works are what kept me saved. Like, faith got me saved, but then to keep it, it relied on my works. So then I trusted in myself to just be good all the time. And failure, like, I went to school. I generally did pretty good in school. Like, one of the only C's I ever got was in typing. I was just a nerd. I just really was. I was just a nerd. But I enjoyed being a nerd. I thought it was fun. I don't know why, but my mom dressed me up in khakis and a sweater every day. I wore shoes. I know what they look like. Y'all don't. But anyway, I went to school every day. Now I would say I look like a dork, but that's what I did. I didn't know any better. Anyway, I got very good grades. So my senior year, I took typing. I thought typing would be great. I mean, back then I was still a typewriter. Like, computers weren't even really a thing. I know that's weird, but anyway, so I was like really on a typewriter, and that thing went and whacked it and had the little correction tape and all that junk. Anyway, I like to type really fast, and I made mistakes. And I made so many mistakes that I got a C. And it was really, like, now it doesn't matter. Back then, my first C I ever had in my life, I felt like the world was over. And I know that's a silly example, but like, where I thought I had to be good all the time for my salvation, like, failure wasn't an option. Like, I had to do good. So getting this C in my head was failure. As life went on, I figured out that I'm a failure in many other ways. Unfortunately, my failures have become more and more serious, and I've had worse consequences. But I realized salvation wasn't dependent on me. Like, salvation, even, the church word sanctification, even my life living right now still depends on faith in Jesus, not on me. And that's something I feel like I learned 10 years ago or so. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. And just FYI, I still can't type that good. So, but also I think we should expect to fail also. Like, I feel like a lot of times, when we see a Christian or we see a pastor, or Keith's here, he's king pastor, right? You're the big guy, ironically. Even that got me choked up. But we don't. I mean, we look at Keith and we're like, Keith's a great guy. He went to the convention this week. He must be the most holy of all of us. So we're like, Keith can't do any wrong. Clearly, he married Carol. But I think just a lot of times in our head, we're like, okay, here's a Christian giant. There's no way that he can fail. I just don't think that's actually what we see in the Bible. What we see in the Bible is we should expect Keith to fail. Not that he's trying to, but I just think because we are in this world, because we're on this earth, because of sin in this world, like we are going to fail. And we shouldn't be shocked when we see other people fail. And I just think even just with our kids or our spouse, and it's not that you want them to fail, but just in this life there is failure. And with Jesus, it's what are you going to do with the failure with Jesus? The whole Bible is about we are failures. And Jesus is here to put all that back together, restore us, redeem us, and make us better than we were before. So anyway, when you see Keith miss a note, don't go too hard on him, He's trying. That's all I have to say about that. Sorry, Keith. All right, something else. Yes. Did you say miracles? Do you want to elaborate on that? Yeah, I think that's for. She said there in 31 and 32, like they had doubt. Say that again. I have a very short attention span. Yeah, so Jesus said to him, said to Peter, why did you doubt? And then there at the end, when they got in the boat, they basically confirmed, truly you are the Son of God. Yeah, and I think just anytime something happens out of this world, we tend to question it. In all this, it talks about these miracles, and it talks about, Jesus tells the disciples, hey, you're going to do greater things than this. Like, think of the worst person that you know, and they get Jesus, and their life is truly transformed. Like, what do we all do? We're like, I don't know. Like, you really don't believe it, Or you're like, hey, this person's been like this forever. Can they really change? Did they really change? Did Jesus really change their heart? And you're just like, I don't know. But like, if we really believe, I think the Bible, we believe in the miracle of God changing hearts, you'll see that and be like, yeah, God can do that. Just a lot of times I think we try to, like, we try to write it off. Something else? yeah, you see Jesus constantly going off by himself. Even before this, like right before this, is the beheading of John the Baptist, and then right after that is feeding of the 5,000. When John the Baptist is beheaded, Jesus goes to pray. Right before the feeding of the 5,000, like Jesus is in constant prayer, and he's got a lot of stuff he's trying to do. And I think, like, so I'll tell you a little background about me and my wife. This probably make my wife really nervous at the moment, but generally, and I've said this before, I love to say lots of things, and I get in trouble for a lot of things that I say. I know that's a shocker. But so I was at school. I was in Memphis, living a married life in Memphis. I was single, carefree, and whatever. Graduated, came back to Nashville, Mount Juliet, and my sister was like, "Hey, there's this girl that I think you really should meet." And I was just like, "Yeah, okay." Anyways, first thing my sister ever said about my wife now is, "You should really hear her pray." So my sister and Brooke were in a Bible study together, and evidently Brooke impressed my sister with her prayer. Anyway, just a little nugget there. That's free. Happy Father's Day. But yeah, definitely take time to pray. It should be you see, let's see, how do I get there? Sometimes a lot of stuff going on. How do you get there? I'll save that. That we'll get there. Let's say somebody say something else. Say Jesus will carry through the storms when we trust Him. Carol, do you have something? Yeah, and I think when if God really is in authority over everything, absolutely we should pray to Him. Like, what a neat thing that the God of everything, that created everything, has allowed prayer to be such a thing to where we can actually, like, communicate with God, and God takes that into account when He's keeping all this going. Like, that really is a neat thing. And then I think to trust when you're going through all these storms, like, God's got all this together, God's holding it together. Hey, I can trust Him with this. I mean, we saw all that with Job. Storms came in Job's life. Everything fell apart. We've talked about that for the last month or 6 weeks or however long that's been. But even I'll just ask, this is a question. Class, I have a question. Who sent the disciples in this storm? Jesus did. I think Jesus knew there was a storm, and Jesus is the one is like, hey, we're going over there to this G word, Gennesaret, G-Town. He's going to G-Town. And he's like, hey, y'all guys, why don't y'all get in the boat? Y'all go in that boat. I'm going to hang back, disperse the crowd, and I'm actually going to do something important. I'm going to go pray. Why don't y'all go out there and struggle? Jesus made them go through that storm. I think what was the purpose of that? I'll let y'all answer that one. Yeah, I'll just write call out to Jesus. I mean the whole purpose of the storm is to get to know Jesus better. Like same thing with Job. We just went through all of Job. Like got through Job. What did Job do? There at the end, like, hey God, I know more of you. I can't even imagine how great you are. Like the whole thing brought Job closer to God. Like this storm brings Peter and the other disciples closer to Jesus. And I think when should we call out to Jesus? Like always. Like before the storm, like breaking the bread, feeding the 5,000. During the storm, like right in the middle of the storm, like, hey God, I need you. God, I need to see you. God, I want to feel you. God, I want to know who you are. And then even here at the end, once he got in the boat, they worshiped who Jesus was. Truly, you are the Son of God. I think in that worship is still declaring, Jesus, you are God. That's still, like worship is us communicating to God, like who God is, who Jesus is. Somehow I was there for a moment. It's weird. Andy's on. I can't even finish a sentence. Sorry. I talk to Andy. Generally, Andy comes and works with me on Mondays. So we go eat lunch every day on Mondays. We go to Jack's Barbecue. I've seen Jason Scully there actually a time or two. But anyway, he's like, hey, I have all these thoughts in my head, and I wish I said this, and I wish I said that, and I forgot to say it. Last week, something a while ago just triggered this in my head, and I couldn't decide if I should say it or not. So I'm thinking about it right now, so I'm going to say it. Last week, Jake and Eva's little baby started crying, and Andy made a thing like, hey, if your baby's in here, like let it coo or cry or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. Or if you want to send them, send them. Spiritually, it should be the same thing. Like, what is a sign? Like, if you're in your household, you should have all levels of maturity, right? Like if you think of, you got the grandparents, the parents, the children, the grandchildren. Like you got kids in diapers all the way to adults in diapers, right? Like a sign of a mature, healthy family is everything from infant to maturity. spiritually it should be the exact same. We should have everything from really, really immature Christians in here. And that should be okay. And we should have everything to spiritual giants like Keith in here. And everything in the middle. And I think this is why, like, this method of teaching is so good. Because even elementary things that we could say in here, call out to Jesus. Like, in a way, that's really simple. That's like VBS type stuff, You should pray. But, as the more and more that I mature, do you know how much more depth and meaning that has? You're like, yeah, I should pray about that. You're like, oh, well, yeah, I know the answer is like to always pray about that. But you mean I should pray about that? It evolves. So anyway, be graceful with people that maybe aren't as mature, and be whatever to the mature. Y'all know what I'm saying? Be graceful to the baby that cries. Like, we were all there one time. We all had to be taken care of. We all needed that. Like, it's okay. But let's have an environment that lets the baby sit next to the grandparent, spiritually speaking. Somebody have something else? Yeah, if it were me, like if in this story I was Jesus, I had just fed the 5,000, I just turned fish and bread to literally fill the multitude. I'm walking on water. I call, hey, Jesus, or Peter's like, hey, if it's really you, let me come out there with you. So he starts walking, and then all of a sudden he starts falling into the water. All the waves, storm, like this should have been an easy boat ride. Like probably a decent sized storm for them to be out there and be out there all night. If I'm Jesus, Peter starts falling in the water, I don't think I immediately get him. I think I let him cough and choke a little bit. You're like, hey, I've showed you all this. Come on. Like, you deserve, you need just a little bit of punishment here. Wouldn't you have done that? Like, just in us, you're like, no, I got it right, you got it wrong, like, you deserve a little bit of punishment. That's what we don't like about the gospel. The gospel says, Dad, I took care of that for you. You don't deserve any punishment. Jesus took it. You don't have to take it. We don't like that. It's against justice. But Jesus immediately stretched out his hand. As soon as he said, help, he immediately got him out. I think I would have left him there. That's just me, though. Something else? yeah, and there's something special about not being in a hurry. Like this life can be frantic. There's a storm going on. I mean, you could see Jesus being like, hey, we got to, there's a storm. They've been out there. I gave them one job. They can't get it done. They should have been done in 2 hours. And it's taking them all night. I got to go and help these small little children along. Like the patience of Jesus is unbelievable. When everybody else would be tired and frustrated, he'd been up all night praying. He had already fed the 5,000. He just learned that his cousin had died. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But Jesus being who Jesus is, he has prayed to the Father. I think he's grounded in who he is, who the Father is. There is this certain calm about who Jesus is. And I think that's something we can tap into that. When when did Jesus start sinking? When he gets out of the boat, who is he looking at? Peter. There's a trick question. I was just seeing if Eric was paying attention. Peter, when Peter's getting out of the boat, who's Jesus? You know what I mean? Peter's looking at Jesus. When Peter starts drowning, falling, or I don't know what you call that, sinking, maybe we should use the word the Bible did, I don't know. When Peter starts sinking, what is he looking at? The wind, the waves. Who is he not looking at? You focus on Jesus, you don't even see the waves. And just in our lives, how often do we start looking at, the car payment, or work tomorrow, or am I pretty, or am I fat? We look at all this other stuff, and we don't actually look at Jesus. Because it talks about being afraid here. There in 27. It didn't work. Nope, still didn't work. Whatever. When I think that he's a ghost, Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." So you have that. Jesus is like, "Hey, don't be afraid." Then you get down here, beginning to sink. Peter got down, walked on water, but then he saw the wind. Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. So you have Jesus saying, "I am, don't be afraid." And then you have Peter looking at the wind, and suddenly he's afraid. Jesus told him right before, "Don't be afraid." And then what's he doing? "I'm afraid." But we do that too. We get busy in life, we're doing all of our stuff. In here, in here, you listen to Andy, and he just ties all this up in a little bow, and you're just like, yeah, I'm going to kill it this week. I'm going to do everything he said, and he gave me those, 3-4 points, and Eric worded 4 of them, so I know they're good, and I'm going to hit Monday, and it's going to be good. It's going to be real good. And then you're like, man, it's windy out there, it's wavy out there. You're like, Jesus who? You know? Like, now I got to work, I got a deadline, I got to do this, I'm late to lunch, I got to do all this, my wife's mad at me, all this stuff. And you're just like, and then you're like, well, that didn't work this week. But I mean, just how often do we just not look at Jesus and we get distracted by stuff going on in the world? You know, it's kind of like what we just, like this simple truth, call out to Jesus. You're like, oh yeah, that thing I learned in VBS, I kind of forgot about it in real life. I need to pray about that. Something else? You said aspects because you knew I couldn't spell it, right? Oh, that's better. Now I forgot what you originally said. That's awkward. Something like that. Y'all get it. Y'all heard him, right? That has been really, really annoying to me, that truth right there. And it's boggled my mind and it's made me mad. I don't want to go through the storm. Just simply put. I don't want things to be tough. I don't want things to be hard. I want things to be easy. I just do. I want life to be easy and fun. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I blame Eve. For whatever reason, life isn't easy and it's not always fun. And unfortunately, I think because of my own self-centeredness, there are many, many things of God that I would never learn if I didn't go through a storm. And that irritates me. But when I go through the storm and I do learn a little bit more about God, like I think I learn a little bit more about who I am. Because basically I learned I'm not as good as I thought I was. Like ultimately, if you drill it down, ultimately I learned that I'm selfish and I want myself and I don't want God. Generally, in every storm. And then you learn, hey, God's bigger and better than I thought he was in the storm. Like he's more graceful, he's more loving, he's more, what was your word, patient, than I ever thought he was. And it's just like, why, how come I can't learn that when things are good? Why can't I learn that when things are good? Like, why do I have to learn that during a storm? And I think you can learn a lot stormless, but like where your roots get deep always seems to be in a storm, and that's annoying. It's just my confession there, I guess. So things I just kind of had written down. Jesus rescues us from the storm. I had Jesus sends the storm, sends us into the storm. um, to know Him better. Jesus rescues us from the storm. Jesus shows Himself during the storm. I wrote down community. Sometimes you're going through a storm and, maybe you feel like Job. You're like, hey, I keep crying out to God. Like, where are you, God? I feel like that's where a community, like, you really need to be plugged in to a group of people. There's small groups here, other believers. You need people in your life that when everything's hitting the fan, you can go talk to them, and you're just like, hey, Eric, right now I don't see God, I don't feel God, I don't know who God is. You need a guy like Eric to be like, Darren, this is who God is. You turn to Jesus. You call out to Jesus right now. You may not feel Him, you may not see Him, keep calling out to Him. Like, you need that community around you. Like, if you don't have guys around you, if you don't have women around you, if you don't have a community, like, intentionally make those relationships. The church can help you make those. Make them yourself, whatever it takes. You need a Christian community around you, because I guarantee something's going to go on in your life and you're not going to see God or hear God, and you're going to need somebody to remind you, call out to Jesus. I've been there, unfortunately. God calls us to Him. Like Jesus shows up, and He says, like, He declares, I am. I love it when He's, like, to me, it's just a real, I know how I want to say that, but I can't say it from up here. It's a real arrogant thing to just say, like, I am, like, I am God. It sounds, when you are God, it's not arrogant. But, He just shows up, and He's just like, I am. Jesus calls us to do things we can't do without Him. Like, Jesus called Peter to come out on the water. Like, we can't walk on water. Sometimes we think we can, but we sink. Jesus calls us to do stuff we can't do without Him. That's just faith, Like, with God in me, I can do blank. We can try to do stuff on our own. But just be aware, God's going to call you to do stuff that you're going to have to depend on Him for you to do it. That's tough too. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't look at the storm. Expect storm, failure. Boom, boom, boom. So, kind of my synopsis here at the end. Keith, get ready. Call, like, at the end of the day, call on Jesus. Like, if that's all you hear today, call on Jesus. During the storm, when you're sinking, call on Jesus. After the storm's over and the waves are done, like, call on Jesus. Like, we're either heading into a storm and we don't know it, or we just got out of a storm, right? Like, it's either coming or going. But just constantly know that Jesus is with you. If you're following Him, Jesus is there. And He is the answer. For whatever the storm is, Jesus is the answer. So, with that, I assume Keith is going to come up, going to sing. There's probably going to be people spaced accordingly across the front. If you want to come down, if you want to come talk to some of these guys, they're going to call out to Jesus for you and with you. Thanks.
Yes, Darren is correct. Carol will echo the sentiment that I am not perfect. And one of the things as Darren was wrapping up, I was thinking of is Jesus doesn't say to Peter, "Who do you think you are to come out to where I am?" Jesus invites Peter to come. And then when Peter fails, like Darren said, he doesn't say, "Look at you. How dare you?" What Jesus does is immediately rescues. He is a rescuer. And so if you're here today and you need rescue, if you're here today and you need some community, we would be honored to pray with you. That's why those who are here this morning down front are here, is to pray with you. We should be able to rely on one another. We can certainly rely on our Father. And so with that, let's stand to our feet and let's sing to our saving God.
Such an awesome God, so mighty, so holy, so wonderful. Such an awesome God, so selfless, so generous, so faithful you are. Seated in
your heavens, the moon and stars you set in motion, oh God. I sing all glory and honor. What is man that you are mindful, the Son of Man that you would care for him? I sing all glory and honor, oh Lord, our Lord. Oh, how awesome are your ways, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, oh, we see your kingdom come. Father, may your will be done in all the earth. In all the earth you gave dominion to your children, and you crowned them, oh God, with glory and honor. So we'll sing of your name, live our lives for your greatness, oh God. Your glory and honor, oh Lord, our Lord. Oh, how awesome are your ways, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, may we see your kingdom come. Father, may your will be done in all the earth. Earth is full of glory of God. Come make much of the name above all names. Creation cries out, and every knee bows. Jesus, we crown you, oh Lord, our Lord. The earth is full of glory of God. Come make much of the name above all names. Creation cries out, every knee bows. Jesus, we crown you, oh Lord, our Lord. Oh Lord, our Lord. Oh Lord, our Lord. Oh Lord, our Lord. Oh, how awesome are your ways, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, may we see your kingdom come. Father, may your will be done in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, oh, how awesome are your ways, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, may we see your kingdom come. Father, may your will be done in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, oh, how awesome are your ways, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, our Lord, may we see your kingdom come. Father, may your will be done in all the earth. All the earth. May that be our prayer as we leave this place today. Live leaning on him and trusting in him through the storm. Have a great rest of your day and week. We'll see you back here next Sunday.